and let me bid you a very warm welcome to the University of Strathclyde and here to the Barony Hall, one of the jewels in the university's estate, where we do lots of things in here, conferences, major dinners. Some of the students may remember we occasionally have examinations in here as well, so you might not have enjoyed your last trip in here. But most importantly, we graduate our students, our excellent graduands, as they currently are, some in the hall before us, an array of excellent talent behind me, where we'll be celebrating the outcomes of their fantastic work as they complete their degrees. It's great to have the families here. As the rest of the UK are getting sun warnings and heat warnings, here we are in Glasgow in the middle of summer with our brollies up, but it's warm rain, so that's something for to enjoy anyway, and I think it's brightening up, which will help us later on in the meeting. To the graduands, those behind me can't see it. This piece of furniture I have before me, this has been with us since we got our university charter some 60 years ago. I've knelt on this 3 times for my bachelor's, my master's, my PhD, but we don't have you kneeling before the Vice-Chancellor any longer. We used to have some rather archaic practices where you knelt before the Chancellor or the Vice-Chancellor. So when you come across the stage, I will cap you, and at that point, I will have confirmed your Strathclyde University degree, which should be most enjoyable. And to the families and friends, it's an important and august occasion, but you're also here to enjoy yourselves. So if your family member crosses the stage, please let them know that you're here, within reason. But this is a joyful occasion, and let's make sure you get a chance to enjoy it just as we will. These ceremonies are wonderful under any circumstances, but occasionally we have an additional element to enjoy, and this morning is one of those occasions when we will be recognising our Alumna of the Year. That's Stephanie McLeod, who's next to me, about whom you'll hear much more from Professor Duncan Graham shortly, because we celebrate, most importantly, what our graduates do, and we're very proud of Stephanie's career. This morning she'll be getting a very fine piece of silverware. I'm reflecting on the football game last night, so silverware may just be out of reach for our football team, but this morning we can indeed hand over a very important part of the university's silverware to our Alumna of the Year. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to formally declare this congregation open. I will invite Duncan Graham to introduce our Alumna of the Year. Relax and enjoy yourself. Thank you very much indeed.
Principal and Vice-Chancellor, I have the honour to present to you Stephanie McLeod for the Alumna of the Year Award 2024. Stephanie's journey from a student at Strathclyde to Director of Blending Scotch Whisky at Bacardi is nothing short of inspiring, and it's an honour to acknowledge her contributions to both our industry and our community. Stephanie's story begins here at the University of Strathclyde, where she earned her degree in food science. Graduating in 1992, she started working in the drinks sector with a Scottish icon, Iron Brew. Not long after that, she returned to Strathclyde as a research assistant at the Centre for Food Quality, working with her former supervisor, Dr. John Pigott, and looking at another iconic Scottish drink, whisky. This solid academic foundation not only equipped her with the technical knowledge and skills essential for her future career, but also instilled in her a passion for excellence and innovation. Stephanie joined Dewar's Whisky Quality Department in 1998, just after the company had been acquired by the global spirits company Bacardi. And in 2006, Stephanie was appointed Master Blender, making her one of the few women to hold such a prestigious position in the traditionally male-dominated whisky industry. Her appointment was not just a personal milestone, but also a significant moment for the industry, highlighting the growing recognition of diversity and inclusion within the field. And as Director of Blending, Stephanie oversees the creation and maturation of some of the world's finest whiskies. Her role involves not only the blending of various malt and grain whiskies to create consistent and high-quality products, but also the innovation of new expressions that delight whisky enthusiasts around the globe. Under her expert guidance, the Bacardi Group's whisky portfolio has flourished, earning numerous awards and accolades that attest to her skill and her creativity. Stephanie's contributions extend beyond her technical expertise. She is a passionate advocate for the whisky industry, regularly sharing her knowledge and experience through public speaking engagements, mentorship programs and industry panels. Her commitment to education and mentorship has inspired many young professionals, particularly women, to pursue careers in the whisky industry. And Stephanie's efforts to support and nurture the next generation of blenders will ensure that the industry will continue to thrive and evolve. In recognition of her outstanding contributions to the whisky industry, Stephanie has received numerous accolades. In 2019, she made history as the first woman to be named Master Blender of the Year at the International Whisky Competition, and just very recently, I believe this weekend, she won the award for an unprecedented 6th consecutive time. So well done, Stephanie, for that. Her work has been celebrated by prestigious organisations around the world, and these awards are a testament to her dedication, skill, and the high regard in which she is held by her peers. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in congratulating Stephanie McLeod, our Alumna of the Year. Her remarkable career and unwavering commitment to her craft make her a deserving recipient of this honour, and her success serves as a powerful reminder of what can be achieved with a Strathclyde education. Stephanie continues to be an inspiring role model for our university community, and we are proud to count her among our distinguished alumni. And we look forward to her continued success and contributions to Strathclyde and the whisky industry. It is with great pleasure, therefore, Principal and Vice-Chancellor, that I ask you to present the Alumna of the Year Award 2024 to Stephanie McLeod.
Stephanie, we're enormously proud of your professional achievements. We're delighted to retain your strong association with your alma mater, Strathclyde University. So it's with great pleasure that we give you this award as our Alumna of the Year. Please take a bow.
Principal and Vice-Chancellor, graduates, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honour to be with you here today as the proud recipient of the Alumna of the Year at Strathclyde University. Before I talk about my time at Strathclyde and my career, I'd just like to congratulate everyone who is graduating today, and to all of those who have supported you educationally, emotionally, and financially. It isn't easy attaining a degree, so I hope you all feel enormous pride today. My course was food science, and it really was the science of food, where cheese and bread making sat alongside chemistry and physics, statistics, easy for me to say, and to name but a few of the subjects. But it was the learning of sensory analysis that really proved to be pivotal to my career. In my final year of food science, all the theories and techniques came together in my thesis, which was in part a collaboration with Dr. John Pigott, the head of the department. It focused on the chemical structure of compounds and their activity, which in this case was flavour, another signpost to my future career. Following my graduation in 1992 from this beautiful building, I started as quality technologist with the Scottish iconic soft drinks brand, Iron Brew. I enjoyed my job, but it didn't challenge me. And then one day, Dr. John Pigott popped up again and asked me if I would like to join his research group, studying, amongst other things, the flavour of Scotch whisky. Now, this was a bit of a risk because I was leaving a good job with a successful company, and it was a permanent job, and leaving it for an unknown role in academia, which was fixed term with no guarantee of renewal. However, the decision to move to Strathclyde proved pivotal, because 4 years working in the fascinating disciplines of sensory and chemical analysis and the Scotch whisky making process made me realise it was a whisky industry that I wanted to be in. Fast forward to 2006, I'm about to become the master blender of John Dure & Sons Scotch whisky, having trained for the role for the past 3 years and 5 years before that in a variety of operational roles. This was a huge moment for me and for the company, as I became the 7th master blender and the first woman to take on the role. 4 years later, and the next stop was motherhood, with the birth of our twin girls, and those funny, clever, beautiful young girls are in the audience today. But working and parenting is a hectic and taxing combination at times. However, I'm lucky to have a supportive husband and 2 very supportive parents who are also clever and beautiful in the audience today as well. And since my role takes me all over the world, this support is crucial. As Master Blender and now Director of Blending with Dewar's, I've been involved not only in the creation of countless new expressions of Scotch whisky, but in the development of the careers of others, especially women. When I joined the whisky industry, there weren't many female role models, so I've made it my mission that as the first female master blender, I won't be the last. But as I close, graduates, 3 things I would ask you to do. Never take your degree for granted, and always strive to learn more. And give back the benefit of what you have received to others. For me, Strathclyde really was a place of useful learning, as it was so important to the career that I have today. Thank you very much.
Excuse me a second. Principal, Vice-Chancellor, and in the name of the University and by the authority of Senate, I present to you these students for the degree of Doctor of Engineering in Ultrasonic Engineering, Alistair Lawley. For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy for Research in the Department of Electronic and Electrical Engineering, Tae Woo Samuel Ajiyi. Badr Mohammed Al-Faya. Shaden Al-Tuk. Rohida Binti Hussain. Mohammed Hasib Iftikhar. Sarunas Khalidi. Conor McGarry. Craig Ramsey. Lucy Godwin Sinclair. Caitlin Fiona Stewart. Shang'en Tiang. Jen Kuhn Yang. Qiyang Zhang. For the degree of Master of Science in Future Energy and Power System Operation and Management, Chi Wing Chung. In Machine Learning and Deep Learning, Abdul Hamid Salah Helden Abdul Hamid Bayoumi El Wakil. For the degree of Master of Engineering in Computer and Electronic Systems, Anil Amjad. Rahil Amjad. Andreas Eltherios Gaviri Elides. Ewan David Gillen. Jamie Michael Hobson. Jack McGrory. Stephen Ryan Muirhead. Finlay Murray. Bruno Christoph Romanski. Fraser Sanderson. In Computer and Electronic Systems with International Study, Alejandra Paula Delgado Fernandez. Neve Carol King. In Electrical and Mechanical Engineering, Jack Wilson Caldecott. Cameron Robin Dodds. Adam Haynes. Amir Khan Hussain. Blair Kennedy. Jason Kirk. Mark Kirk. Peter Kieran Lacaze. Stuart Lowe. Murray Roy Donald McFarlane. Joseph Santini Manlutak. Stephen McClarty. Eva Peter. Lewis Macaulay Reid. Louisa Ann Shannon Rourke. Eleanor Smith. Cameron Wallace. Thomas Wright. In electrical and mechanical engineering with international study, Ethan James Allen. Emily Dora Bell. Adam William Russell Campbell. Laura Galasso. Matthew Charles Hughes. Alfred Scalera. James Matthew Scobie. Sarah Ann Weir. Barbora Zwalska. In electrical energy systems, Callum Brown. Ross Wilson. In electronic and electrical engineering, Kieran Anderson. Alistair Gordon Buchanan Winch. Greg Clapperton. Robbie Charles Eust. Kieran James Frost. Marunal Gadri. Konstantinos Gogo Latsi. Adam Luke Jacobs. Yanis Michael. Ben William Muir. Kieran Stewart Petrie. Samuel Liam Tate. Callum Wilson. For the degree of Bachelor of Engineering in Computer and Electronic Systems, Gwen Devlin. David Ferguson. Ellie Forsyth. Duncan Richard Galloway. David Alexander Niven. Scott O'Brien. Cillian Tucker. In electrical and mechanical engineering, Mahamat Abakar. Matthias Mari Stephanie Diane Audrin de Kedrel. John Callaghan. Kirsty Catherine Grimshaw. Matthew William Kane. Jack Alfie Crichton McKenna. Joshua Power. Christos Sidiris. In electronic and electrical engineering, Hayden Eric Clapham. Ewan Cuthbert. Mostyn David Farquhar. Jacob Fisher. Lynn Gay. Fraser Stewart Guthrie. Run Sheng Hu. Si Yan Hu. Yue Hawang. Hao Wen Jiang. Shun Li. Dong Hao Liu. Mi Ao Lu. Yi Lu. Guo Liu. Anna Mitra Meti. Andrew McAllister. Ewan McGilvery. Liu Yuan Na. Jia Yi Ren. Lewis Roger. Adam Shafiq. Yiming Ta. Raweichi Wang. Jiming Wang. Hao Yon Yang. Zhu Hawan Yang. Chen Jiang. In engineering studies, Andrew Longridge Moore. For the degree of Bachelor of Engineering in Electronic and Electrical Engineering, Jan Hu Gu. For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy for Research in the Department of Electronic and Electrical Engineering, Abdul Samad. And again for Doctor of Philosophy and for research in the Department of Electronic and Electrical Engineering, Heng G.P. Lau.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's give the class of 2024 a big round of applause. So, once again, ladies and gentlemen, and now to our wonderful Strathclyde graduates, let me reiterate our warm welcome to this fantastic ceremony, a day that you will never forget. It marks the successful conclusion of years of hard work, and now you've graduated in front of your families, your friends, supporters, and of course, your classmates. Today, we welcome visitors from across Scotland, throughout the UK, and of course, from a wonderful international community. We're delighted to see all of you here to join in our celebrations today. Importantly, with regard to your place, Strathclyde is a place where freedom of thought is valued and encouraged. We're a place that seeks to be both tolerant and inclusive, and where people of diverse national, cultural and social backgrounds come together here to enjoy an excellent education and a shared student experience. At Strathclyde, we benefit from having students and staff from over 130 countries, because ours is a socially progressive community, one that seeks to be an exemplar for modern society, because we're plural, we're multicultural, and we try to be enlightened. It's our responsibility, and graduates today, it's your responsibility to continue to challenge unacceptable practices, including by those in power, by using reason and by exemplifying the best features of modern society. And we need to do this, of course, in the knowledge that we are experiencing war in Europe again because of Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine, and we have witnessed the horror of conflict in the Middle East and the humanitarian disaster in Gaza. There has never been a greater need for a new generation of leaders that are professional, ethical and empathetic, with a commitment to tolerance and a sense of purpose, namely graduates, people like every one of you that are graduating today. And remember also that democracy is precious, and you're graduating at a time of political upheaval and uncertainty across the globe. And this year, elections are taking place in 65 different countries. Around 2 billion people, about a quarter of the world's population, are eligible to vote, including, of course, here in the UK. So, graduates, make sure you make your opinions count in the ballot box. But of course, most importantly, we're here to acknowledge the fruits of your hard work, the learning you've built up, and the successful completion now of your degree courses, because this will be the passport that you'll take to make a full contribution in your career and to society at large, in spite of the flux and uncertainty that we currently face. And you're graduating in a very special year for Strathclyde University. Whilst we're over 200 years old as an institution, we're celebrating our Diamond Jubilee anniversary year since we got our Royal Charter from the late Queen Elizabeth II, marking 60 years since our award, conferring university status to our institution. And this mace that's on the stage here is a sign of we are here with royal assent and support to confer degrees. And through that Royal Charter, what was the Royal College of Science and Technology became the University of Strathclyde, the first university to be established in Scotland for almost 400 years, and Britain's first technological university. And remember that we are the 8th oldest university in the UK. More recently, you'll recall that in November 2021, Glasgow had the honour of hosting COP26, the summit of world leaders that came together to agree measures to minimise global warming and climate change. And that challenge continues, of course. But we had the privilege of putting Strathclyde into the heart of how Glasgow presented itself to the world and how the world came to Glasgow. And I had the privilege of meeting with John Kerry, the Special Presidential Climate Envoy, Michael Bloomberg, a fellow electrical engineer, graduates, although he is better known for his fantastic business successes and being Mayor of New York. And we had the real highlight of hosting former US President Barack Obama here on the campus for half a day during the conference. And he came here to speak with young people and to activists about the critical role that your generation have to play a solutions-based approach to tackling climate change, effectively tackling the issues that my generation have left you with. But certainly the engineers in this hall today will make a very important contribution going forward. He came here under some secrecy, as you might imagine, because of security. But through the powers of social media, when he got here, that secrecy didn't last too long. So he's here to meet these young people. And when he left our Learning and Teaching building, there were several hundred people there to wave goodbye to him. And as he just stood in the steps and before he went into his car, he turned round and uttered 2 words to the gathered audience. And it was this: get active. And that's what I repeat to you today, graduates, here on the stage and in the hall. Get active. Get active in your careers and whatever you choose to do to make a difference in your personal and professional lives. And go ahead and apply yourselves. I was brought up here in Glasgow, just on the other side of the Clyde, in a sunny hamlet called Govan. And that town's motto is Nihil sine labore, or nothing without hard work. And, well, I try to embrace that ethos every day. I would recommend to all of you that you take a similar approach in your future careers. You're all very smart, you're highly accomplished now, you have your degrees, but there's no replacement for applying yourselves and working hard. That does make a difference. Because now, today, you've become Strathclyde alumni. You're the latest of the university's torchbearers, just like those from many generations that have gone before you. And with all that you've now successfully come through, I'm sure you'd agree that you couldn't have done this without the backing and encouragement of the community of supporters around you. And it's fitting that we acknowledge their part in the successful completion of your university studies. Our graduates and the university at large owe them an enormous debt of gratitude. So graduates and university staff, let's say a big thank you to the families, friends and supporters that have made such a contribution to making today possible. Thank you. And for our outstanding staff too, please join me, graduates and those in the hall, in thanking our staff for all that they've done to support you in getting through your degrees. Thank you. So as you leave us today, it's important for you to remember, as I mentioned earlier, that we were founded in 1796. We're now 228 years old, although I still like to think of us as a 200-year-old startup organisation, with that same sense of entrepreneurship, drive and purpose as at the time of our establishment. And throughout our history, Strathclyde has remained faithful to our founding principles, and we were established, and I quote, for the benefit of all mankind. And having been the only higher education institution to be established in Scotland during the time of the Enlightenment, we were named as Anderson's Institution. And we continue to drive our university strategy in that same exciting spirit, making it wholly relevant to the 21st century. And our founder, Professor John Anderson, who was a physicist, or a natural philosopher as he would have been called then, with deep engineering capability too, had strong links with Benjamin Franklin, the American inventor and academic. And Franklin was one of the founders of the University of Pennsylvania in 1751 under the motto of useful knowledge. And that inspired John Anderson. And John communicated with him, in fact, accompanied Franklin when he was here in the UK, whenever he was travelling. And that philosophy inspired John to create the requirement for a place of useful learning to be established here in Glasgow. And never has that philosophy been so relevant since our establishment some 200 years or so ago. So remember that motto, please, because it still defines our purpose as a leading international technological university that tries to be socially progressive in all that we do. So for those of you that have come across our campus or arrived here at the doors of the Barony Hall, you'll have passed buildings today where we're developing drugs to diagnose and fight diseases. For example, we have several drugs in clinical trials in the areas of cancer diagnostics and treatment, kidney disease, infection management and inflammatory diseases. Strathclyders, many of them on the stage with me today, producing new energy technologies and policy solutions to tackle climate change and to establish a low-carbon economy. We are revolutionising global manufacturing to help create the so-called industrial revolution, or Industry 4.0, through robotics, AI, automation and data science. We're very proud of our students as they continue to work in low-income countries, establishing clean water and power supplies, deploying healthcare systems in remote communities, and introducing telecommunications infrastructure. And they're transferring knowledge and bringing prosthetic limb and bioengineering technologies to those in need. And we also continue to work in informing public policy in the UK and in Scotland on national economic strategy and on education, health, energy and innovation strategies. And our staff in the Technology and Innovation Centre, just down in George Street, our TIC building, they're working there on low-carbon energy, photonics, pharmaceuticals. And another American, the well-known inventor Thomas Edison, who you'll have heard of, called his technology teams in his laboratories his inventions factory. Well, we like to think of TIC as our innovations factory. And we've further reinforced Strathclyde's distinctiveness by creating Scotland's first innovation district. You're effectively at the heart of it here in the Barony Hall. We're working in partnership with the Glasgow City Council, the Chamber of Commerce, Scottish Enterprise and Industry, so that the Innovation District is focusing in reclaiming Glasgow's proud industrial heritage and building it now around medtech, fintech, quantum technology, industrial AI, 5 and 6G communications and space technology. And did you know that outside California, Glasgow has the biggest small satellite manufacturing capability in the world, with about 140 companies in this area working on these technologies, with many Strathclyders in there leading the companies and working on the technology. And many are investing in us. A couple of years ago, one of our double alum, Charles Wang, MBA and PhD from this place, very successful entrepreneur and investor, donated £50 million to the university to help drive that innovation and entrepreneurship activity. And out at the airport, as well as the Glasgow City Innovation District, we've catalysed the Advanced Manufacturing Innovation District for Scotland. So now that we're in the holiday period, as you're taking off from Glasgow Airport, you'll see 2 large buildings on the north-east side of the runway. A large building with a purple serrated roof. No signage on it yet, but it'll be there soon. And adjacent to it another. That's the National Manufacturing Institute for Scotland and the Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre, bring together our capability in research and the great talent that we produce. And in total out there, around £250 million worth of investment of industry-scale manufacturing, rebuilding Scotland's capability that perhaps we left too easily some 50 or so years ago. So, with our commitment to useful learning, we provide business and industry with the tools that they need to be more innovative and to promote economic growth, to help create jobs and providing us all with a better quality of life that's sustainable and healthy. But most importantly, and many of you in the room know this, we provide people with the opportunity to transform their lives and the lives of their families. As I mentioned earlier, we still attract many first-generation university students to Strathclyde, like me. I was the first one to go to university, and I came here a long time ago, 1974, as a very talented 7-year-old boy. There's not many folk can do that. But I came here to study electronic and electrical engineering, as many of you have done. But that's some of the reasons why we've had a terrific sequence of external recognition of what we do and how we do it. And in recent years, we've been regularly recognised at the UK Times Higher Education Awards ceremonies, referred to as the sectoral Oscars. And we're the only university to have won the UK University of the Year twice, the Entrepreneurial University of the Year, the UK Research Project of the Year, led by a professor from EEE. And that talks about not what we're achieving, but also how we're doing it and how we collaborate. This year, we are the Daily Mail Scottish University of the Year. and we were runner-up just to Imperial College for the UK University of the Year. And Alistair McCall, who compiles that table, he was the league table compiler for the Times and Sunday Times, described Strathclyde, as we got the award, as, and I quote, the epitome of a progressive 21st century university, seeking to shape and change society for the better through the pursuit of educational excellence and social change, and still a place of useful learning, just as it set out to be more than 200 years ago. And this time last year at the ceremony in Barcelona, Strathclyde was named the European Entrepreneurial University of the Year. And just last week at a national event in Aberdeen, Strathclyde was named Employer of the Year. And that's important to me as the principal, because that talks about the environment that we create so that our academics, our professional services and our technical teams find a place to thrive and pursue their careers. And just last week, and I know our students are particularly tuned into the impact we have on sustainability, that we were named 10 days ago in the Times Higher Education Global Impact Rankings for 2024, joint 25th in the world. Now, I wouldn't normally celebrate being 25th in anything, but that was out of 2,000 universities that they reviewed. And that talks about our contribution to addressing the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Important for engineering, important for science, and important for policy. And that external recognition demonstrates what we're doing, because we are having a disproportionate impact on society. And let me say this, through all of you, our graduates here today, you are our most valuable contribution to society. You're the leaders, you're the innovators, you're the people that will make change over the coming decades. And that's extremely important, because we value our contribution to society and its impact by translating our knowledge to the benefit of society for industry and for our public sector partners. And here in Scotland, the Scottish Government commits about £1.2 billion to the higher education sector. But in return, our sector collectively contributes more than £10 billion worth of value back into the Scottish economy. So universities are an investment, not a cost. And the departments that are being recognised today in this engineering faculty, led by Professor Stephen MacArthur, who's on the stage with us, gives me great cause for optimism. And I can't possibly read out all of the achievements, but just a few headlines I think is important. Only this morning I opened a very important international conference in the TIC building, led by the EEE department, looking at 5G and 6G communications and the pervasive impact that's having across sectors. Strathclyde was also one of the 23 groundbreaking projects receiving funding from the UK government to boost UK space technologies through our colleagues in the Aerospace Centre of Excellence. Just 2 months ago, myself and the Dean were in Germany to sign a new strategic partnership deal with Siemens Energy to address the key challenges and opportunities to decarbonise future energy systems through offshore wind, smart grid technologies, and of course on the demand side as well, how we can reduce the demand on the system itself. And last summer we became the first university in the UK to offer a Master of Science in Offshore Energy Transition. And I reiterate again to those of you graduating today, it's through your knowledge, your energy and your ultimate expertise that we will make a big difference. And I could go on because there's so much that this faculty has achieved. But please see that as the exciting context within which you view your awards. You're now graduates of a university that seeks to place students at the heart of all that we're doing, because we value excellence in both education and research, because we create strong partnerships with society at large as well as with the business world. And we're an international organisation. The world's best universities contribute, collaborate and compete on the international stage, and we are no different. We have many high-quality global partners, including in North America, big names that you will recognise: Stanford, MIT, New York University, with strong partnerships in California, and in Waterloo in Canada. In China, deep links with Peking and Tsinghua universities, the #1 and #2 universities there, particularly in sustainability and renewable energy, as well as the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. And we have a raft of strong partnerships across Europe. In spite of the disruption of Brexit, the soft power of university collaboration, the mobility of our staff and our students will be seen in the coming years to be an asset upon which we can build the UK's ongoing connection and participation in the European experiment. And just last month, we also announced exciting initiatives to expand our teaching and our research in Bahrain and Saudi Arabia. And in Riyadh in Saudi, we're partnering with Princess Noura University, the world's largest all-female university, with some 35,000 students. And we're trying to make our contribution to accelerate social change and social, let's keep it at change, to upskill women in the kingdom, including in topics in engineering and technology, science, business and humanities. And of course, all of you are students. You've benefited directly from being part of an international university, helping you to emerge with the skills necessary for yourselves and your careers, as well as for Scotland and the countries where you'll pursue your career. Because you've been exposed to the richness and value of different cultures and traditions. So as you leave today, please remember, as well as having your degrees, remind yourself of your obligations as global citizens. And I'll conclude by reminding you that when we talk about being socially progressive, we're trying to put it in action. We remain the leading Scottish research-intensive university for widening participation from our programmes right across the board, from particularly the communities in and around Glasgow. Almost 1,300 have joined us from this year, from which over 500 have come from the communities that face the greatest challenges, communities that I belong to. And in the same period, we've achieved the joint 5th highest entrance qualifications in the UK, making a nonsense of that widening access somehow diluting your academic quality. Not at all. And I should say, you're in the middle of these new graduations for this year. Just about a month ago, on this very stage in this hall, I had over 2 days 500 10 to 12-year-olds with their gowns on, with their mortarboards on, graduating from the Young Strathclyde programme, skipping along the stage. I had to be quick, actually. Some of them nearly got under my cap before I could catch them. But that is getting these young people excited about education, and just as importantly, their mothers and fathers, their grannies and grandpas and aunties and uncles and teachers were in the hall as well, and I was speaking to them to remind them that Strathclyde's a place for them too. These are young people with very little restraint in their thinking, but they must be given the encouragement and the confidence to pursue their education. And as I often say to my colleagues, I particularly like those graduation ceremonies because it's one of the few where I get to look tall on this stage, which is wonderful. So let me finish by saying that I would characterise Strathclyde now as being distinctive and having an ambition and focus and momentum that really stands us out from the crowd. We continue to work with the agility and commitment so necessary to absorb the continuing challenges in our sector, as well as the political and economic disruptions that we're all facing. It's a great privilege for me to lead this fantastic institution with the superb support I get from my executive team, from my academic colleagues, those in professional services and our support teams. And I firmly believe that our founder, John Anderson, would recognise what we're doing today as the realisation of what he sought to establish during the Scottish Enlightenment, namely useful learning. And to you in the Barony Hall, I have no doubt that 2024 will be a vintage year. You've shown great resilience, great application, and ultimately you've now achieved success. And hopefully you've had a little bit of fun along the way too. We're all very proud of you. So with that in mind, know that you're joining a community of over 200,000 Strathclyders around the world. I travel a lot for this institution, and there's not a place I go to that I don't find a Strathclyder in a significant position of influence. So remember, whatever you do with your degree and whatever and wherever you decide to pursue your career, truly useful learning means that you apply your knowledge to the benefit of others. Please make a positive impact for yourselves and the communities that you belong to. Respect diversity, value freedom of expression and thought, and reach conclusions and resolve disputes through reason and tolerance. They characterise the core values of your university. So we're all here to mark your fantastic achievements. You now have your degrees. On behalf of the university, let me extend our sincere congratulations to each and every one of you. I wish you success in your careers. Please do stay in touch with us and let me know how you're getting on. Well done again, and please enjoy the rest of this very special day. Thank you. I spoke to you about 5 and 6G communications. Fiona at the back of the hall has used some basic communications with a big thumbs up at the back of the hall, which tells me the weather has improved. Which means that we will process, once I close the ceremony, we'll process down the aisle. Let the stage party go ahead, please. Students and graduates, please join us, as with the families too. We're now going to process over to the Learning and Teaching building, where there will be refreshments for you and a chance to catch up with folk, including the academics. So I hope you've enjoyed the ceremony as much as we have. It's a great day for all of you. And with that, I'll ask you to be upstanding. And I will now formally close the ceremony. Thank you very much.